Hello everyone watching my video and my channel. In my previous video, I have explained to you about primary activities. Some examples of primary activities that are hunting, gathering, and animal rearing. In this video, I'll try to make you understand about agriculture and different types of agricultural practices. Now, first of all, what is agriculture? Simply, agriculture is cultivation of crops and rearing of animals. Based on methods of farming, different types of crops are grown and livestock raised. Main agricultural systems will be explained hereafter. First of all, subsistence agriculture. Subsistence agriculture is one in which the farming areas consume all or nearly so of the products locally grown. That means products are grown for local consumption only. Subsistence agriculture can be grouped into two categories: the primitive subsistence and the intensive subsistence agriculture. First of all, the primitive subsistence agriculture. Uh, Primitive subsistence agriculture is also called as shifting cultivation. It is widely practiced by many tribes in the tropics, especially in Africa, South and Central America, and Southeast Asia. In this map, you can see the areas of subsistence farming. As you can see, the South Central America, the Africa, and the Southeast Asia. These are the regions of subsistence farming. In this type of farming, vegetation or forests are usually cleared by fire, and the ashes add to fertility of the soil. Shifting cultivation is thus also called as slash and burn agriculture. The cultivated patches are very small and cultivation is done with very primitive tools such as sticks and hoes. After some times, that is 3 to 5 years, the soil loses its fertility uh, and farmer shifts to another parts and clears the other patch of the forest for cultivation. This is called shifting cultivation or slash and burn method cultivation or the primitive subsistence agriculture. The farmer may return to the earlier patch of the land after some time. One of the major problems of shifting cultivation is that the cycle of jhum becomes less and less due to loss of fertility in different parcels. It is prevalent in tropical regions in different names, like jhuming in northeastern states of India, milpa in Central America, and Mexico and ladang in Indonesia and Malaysia. Now, the intensive subsistence agriculture. Uh, as you all know that this is the second type of subsistence agriculture. This type of agriculture is largely found in densely populated regions of monsoon Asia, that are the regions of Southeast Asia. Basically, there are two types of intensive subsistence farming. Uh, the first one is intensive subsistence agriculture dominated by paddy crops. This type of agriculture is characterized by dominance of the rice crop. Land holdings are very small in this type of agriculture. Land holdings are small due to the high density of population. In this type of agriculture, farmers work with the help of their family members, leading to intensive use of land. Use of machinery is limited and most of the agricultural operations are done by the manual labor. Farmyard manure is used to maintain the fertility of the soil. In this type of agriculture, the yield per unit area is high, but the labor productivity is low. The second type of intensive subsistence agriculture is intensive subsistence agriculture dominated by crops other than paddy. Due to the difference in relief, climate, soil, and some other geographical factors, it is not practical to grow paddy in many parts of monsoon Asia. Wheat, soybean, barley, and sorghum are grown in some parts of northern China, Manchuria, North Korea, and North Japan. In India, wheat is grown in western parts of the Indo-Gangetic plains, and millets are grown in the dry parts of western and southern India. Most of the characteristics of this type of agriculture are similar to those dominated by wet paddy, except that irrigation is often used. Now, the another type of agriculture is plantation. The Europeans colonized many parts in the world and they introduced some of the other forms of agriculture, such as plantations, which were mainly profit oriented, large scale production systems. Plantation agriculture was introduced by the Europeans in their colonies situated in tropics. Uh, some of the important plantations were tea, coffee, cocoa, rubber, cotton, oil, palm, sugarcane, bananas, and pineapples. The characteristic features of this type of farming are large estates of plantations, large capital investment, managerial and technical support, scientific methods of cultivation, single crop specialization, cheap labor, and a good system of transportation which links the estates to the factories and markets for the export of products. The French established cocoa and coffee plantations in West Africa. The British set up the large tea gardens in India and Sri Lanka. Rubber plantations in Malaysia and sugar and banana plantations in West Indies. Spanish and Americans invested heavily in coconut and sugarcane plantations in the Philippines. The Dutch once had monopoly over sugarcane plantations in Indonesia. Some coffee fazendas are still managed by Europeans in Brazil. Here it is important to know that fazendas are large coffee farms in Brazil. Another important fact about the plantations are that today ownership of the majority of the plantations has passed into the hands of the government or the nationals of the countries concerned. Now, the extensive commercial grain farming. Extensive commercial grain farming is practiced in the interior parts of semi-arid lands of the mid-latitudes. Wheat is the principal crop, but other crops like corn, barley, oats, and rye are also grown. The size of the farm is very large. Therefore, entire operations of cultivation from plowing to harvesting are mechanized. Here it is important to know that in this type of agriculture, yield per acre or per unit area is very high, but yield per person is very low. This is because small number of people are engaged in this type of agriculture. Here in this map, you can see the areas of commercial grain farming marked and indicated by arrows. This type of agriculture is best developed in Eurasian steppes, the Canadian and American prairies, the pampas of Argentina, the velds of South Africa, the Australian Downs, and the Canterbury Plains of New Zealand. Now, the mixed farming. It involves cultivation of crops along with rearing of animals. Mixed farms are moderate in size, and usually the crops associated with it are wheat, barley, oats, rye, maize, fodder, and root crops. Fodder crops are an important component of mixed farming. Crop rotation and intercropping play an important role in maintaining soil fertility. Equal emphasis is laid on crop cultivation and animal husbandry. Animals like cattle, sheep, pigs, and poultry provide the main income along with crops. Mixed farming is characterized by high capital expenditure on farm machinery and building, extensive use of chemical fertilizers and green manures, and also by the skill and expertise of the farmers. Areas of mixed farming. As you can see, mixed farming is found in the highly developed parts of the world. It is practiced in northwestern Europe, parts of Eurasia, the eastern parts of USA, the western coastal regions of USA, and southern temperate latitudes. Now, the dairy farming. Dairy farming is the most advanced and efficient type of rearing of milch animals. It is highly capital intensive. Animal sheds, storage facilities for fodder, feeding, and milching machines add to the cost of dairy farming. Special emphasis is laid on cattle breeding, health care, and veterinary services. Dairy farming is highly labor intensive as it involves rigorous care in feeding and milching of animals. There is no off season during the year as in the case of crop raising. Areas of dairy farming. There are three main reasons of commercial dairy farming. The largest is northwestern Europe. The second is Canada, and the third belt includes southeastern Australia, New Zealand, and Tasmania. Here you can see the areas of dairy farming marked in black in the world map. Now, the Mediterranean agriculture. Mediterranean agriculture is highly specialized commercial agriculture. It is practiced in the countries on either side of the Mediterranean Sea, in Europe and in North Africa, from Tunisia to Atlantic coast, southern California, central Chile, southwestern parts of South Africa, and south and southwestern parts of Australia. This region is an important supplier of citrus fruits. Viticulture. Viticulture or grape cultivation is a specialty of the Mediterranean region. Best quality wines in the world with distinctive flavors are produced from high quality grapes in various countries of this region. The inferior grapes are dried into raisins and currants. This region also produces olives and figs. The advantage of Mediterranean agriculture is that more valuable crops such as fruits and vegetables are grown in winters when there is a great demand in European and North American markets. Market gardening or horticulture. Market gardening and horticulture specialize in the cultivation of high value crops such as vegetables, fruits, and flowers solely for the urban markets. This type of agriculture is well developed in densely populated industrial districts of Northwest Europe, Northeastern United States of America, and the Mediterranean regions. Netherlands specializes in growing flowers and horticultural crops, especially tulips, which are flown to all major cities of Europe. Now, the truck farming. The regions where farmers specialize in vegetables only. The farming is known as truck farming. The distance of truck farms from the market is governed by the distance that a truck can cover overnight. Hence, the name truck farming. Co-operative farming. A group of farmers form a cooperative society by pooling in their resources voluntarily for more efficient and profitable farming. Individual farms remain intact, and farming is a matter of cooperative initiative. Cooperative societies help farmers to procure all important inputs of farming, sell the products at the most favorable terms, and help in processing of quality products at cheaper rates. History and expansion. Cooperative movement originated over a century ago and has been successful in many Western European countries like Denmark, Netherlands, Belgium, Sweden, Italy, etc. In Denmark, the movement has been so successful that practically every farmer is a member of a cooperative. Now, the collective farming. The basic principle behind this type of farming is based on social ownership of the means of production and collective labor. Collective farming, or the model of kolkhoz, was introduced in erstwhile Soviet Union to improve upon the inefficiency of the previous methods of agriculture and to boost agricultural production for self-sufficiency. The farmers used to pool in all their resources like land, livestock, and labor. However, they were allowed to retain very small plots to grow crops in order to meet their daily requirements. Yearly targets were set by the government, and surplus production was sold in the market or distributed among the farmers. Mining. Mining is a practice of extracting minerals from the mines. Importance of mining began to increase after Industrial Revolution and is still increasing. Factors affecting mining activity. The profitability of mining operations thus depends on two main factors. The physical factors that include the size, grade, and the mode of occurrence of the deposits. The economic factors, such as the demand for the mineral, technology available and used, capital to develop infrastructure, and the labor and transport costs. Now, the methods of mining. Depending upon physical and economic factors, mining is of two types, that is, surface mining or open cast mining, and the underground mining or shaft method mining. The surface mining is the easiest and the cheapest way of mining minerals that occur close to the surface. Overhead costs such as safety, precautions, and equipment is relatively low in this method. The output is both large and rapid. Underground mining method. In this method, vertical shafts have to be sunk from where underground galleries radiate to reach the minerals. Minerals are extracted and transported to the surface through these passages. It requires specially designed lifts, drills, haulage vehicles, ventilation system for safety, and efficient movement of people and material. This method is risky. Poisonous gases, fires, floods, and caving in lead to fatal accidents. In this picture, you can see both the examples of mining methods. Now I conclude this chapter and this lesson. If you have any doubts, then feel free to ask. Thank you everyone.